Hi, I'm Sophie, and I haven't seen a lot of films.
Hi, I'm Paul, and I'm here to help with that. And we are
SP Film Viewers.
So it's that time of year again. It's not the most wonderful time of year, but it's a special day because it's Paul's actual birthday. So do you want me to sing?
No.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And how old are we now?
Don't know if I should divulge that information.
He's an old man.
Early 30s.
Oh yeah, you can still say that
Yes,
for now.
Yes, I can. Come on. For now, yeah.
For now. So, what do we do when it's a birthday special?
So, as is the theme that we've been doing these past few years now, the idea is to cover 3 films.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, it's kind of changed a bit anyway because of how we've done things this year anyway, but
It still works.
it still works, yeah. Because obviously the intention was, from then, it was just all about things that you hadn't seen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not ones I hadn't seen either, but the format, obviously this time, just like the other birthday ones, is discussing a film that neither of us have seen, one that you haven't seen, and then one we've both seen, which is more the rarity in the sense that, you know, in terms of things that
we haven't reviewed.
We haven't reviewed, and that, you know, like, it's like I was thinking on this, like, for things to categorise for the list, I'm thinking, right, okay, like, what isn't? Because a lot of things I'm thinking is just animated stuff more often than not.
Yeah.
Maybe rom-coms, perhaps, but
That we've both seen.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So, obviously, I did a poll on Twitter for the one that neither of us have seen and the one that you haven't seen. So
yes.
Thank you for everybody who voted on that.
Thank you very much. I think you actually were kind to me on this, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, certainly on the one you hadn't seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you'll obviously guess from the titles what they are, but we are covering the Maltese Falcon, Black Dynamite, and the Skeleton Twins.
So starting in order of like what we would normally do on a birthday special, we start with the film neither of us have seen.
Yep.
So are we ready to just jump in?
Jump in, yep. With the Maltese Falcon.
So this one, I was like really excited initially when it came on.
Because it was black and white. Old.
That
style.
sounds so weird, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, it does. From, you know, any younger generation person might be like, oh yeah, we're really putting this like old fuddy-duddy type film on. Yeah, I thought you'd be like excited about seeing it anyway, because you, like you said, you're more about the like dialogue drama with, you know, getting to know the characters through that way as opposed to explosions and special effects type of things or anything like that, or even kind of things.
Even though with this we had to have the subtitles on because,
admittedly, yes. So
the way that they talk back then obviously was proper English, compared to the way that we speak nowadays. But they speak really fast, and I know I'm one to talk. Like, I do speak quite quickly.
When you get going,
yeah.
Sometimes. Very not as fast as these guys, no.
No, and it's like, I found it really hard to keep up with this. I really wanted to love it, and it was a bit like, wow, okay, there's so much going on. It's like a Cluedo kind of murder mystery. Yeah,
so the film is, I guess, is the pioneer of the whole film noir genre.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, like that black and white style, you know, detective storyline.
Yeah,
that a lot of films have taken inspiration from. And yeah, obviously, admittedly, I didn't quite anticipate how much was going on in in terms of like different plot lines or these characters that were being introduced, and so like, okay, I'm going to have to put the subtitles on because I can't write anything down here because I'm like, I don't know who's throwing these names at me every two minutes, and then some other plot thread comes along, like, what the hell?
And I never knew we have as main lead, which is Sam Spade.
Yep, that's right.
Hey, look at me. Well, I got one name.
Who is, you recognise him, don't you, from Casablanca?
Yeah.
Humphrey Bogart.
I do. But he's like, I just can't weigh this character up at all. Like, what his plan is, like, on whose side he's on. I really just don't know. He's one of those detectives or characters that you just, is he good? Is he bad?
I think that's part of the cause, really, because he's already kind of, well, not far into the film anyway, it's kind of quick to turn around on that. His partner is murdered on an investigation that he's doing, and then he's a suspect of this whole thing. But obviously the thing is that he doesn't seem very concerned about his partner's death anyway. It
reminds me of Scrooged a little bit when his partner,
Marley,
and they take the name off, the sign off the shop basically, and now it's just Scrooged, and then you've got the Sam Spade basically on this one. So it did remind me of that kind of heartless, they've left so I gain more from it because this is now my business. Don't have to share it with anybody else. And then it seems to be that I don't know how true this part is, like if he was kind of fooling around with his partner's wife while...
I think that was implied, that was just that was occurring. I don't think there was any like two which ways about whether that was true or not. I think that was the case, but I don't think it was the intention to have him killed off. I think it was just that, they were just doing the cheating.
But I don't think Sam ever wanted to actually have her. I think he just liked a bit on the side. I don't think he ever wanted a relationship with her, because once she came available, he didn't do anything about it.
Maybe because it's a bit too suspicious, perhaps.
No, I think he kind of pushed her away more. It was like, oh, God, can you tell her I'm busy?
But then again, maybe it's the kind of cool vibe that he's kind of giving off anyway, that kind of like slick.
It's not as slick as Black Dynamite.
but he's got that. Obviously this is what makes the film really, and kind of like catapult him into like a star really for this role. He's kind of like this this wisecracking, but also like very hard faced in how he comes across and how his demeanour is with everything.
He gets away with murder, literally. Like I know he hasn't killed the person in the end, but you do suspect him, and you do when he's like getting into this Falcon thing, which I still don't understand why this Falcon is such a precious thing that needs to be had, and what's it done, or is it just like?
Or did you not read the little blurb thing that was calling down the?
Read? No, not fully. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't.
It was going slow enough.
I was just like, text. It's a film.
Yeah, but this is the very start in the film.
Go on then, inform me. What's the Black Falcon?
Just basically, it was saying that it was like a precious statuette, and it was filled with gems and everything. It was like been lost to time or something,
is it like
and then it been like the Holy Grail type of thing.
I was gonna say like the Grand Budapest thing, where it's the boy with apple, and it's like this elusive thing that costs a fortune, but to look at it, it's like, why?
You kind of, but there's probably a bit more to it than that, because I feel like, a valuable statue is obviously clearly more worth something to even modern, to anybody's eyes really, whereas a painting is very subjective as to whether it's what someone might seem it worth. If that makes sense, because jewels are jewels, and people always think jewels equals money or just high value to it. But I wasn't sure entirely whether it was all just going to be like a sort of MacGuffin, as in just something that was a plot device.
I like that word.
But not actually seen or anything, or if they would to show it as if they were going to show it, but then like cut away or something, like, oh wow, that's impressive or whatever, and then
Like for this elusive thing that you never see.
Yeah.
Say the word again.
MacGuffin.
I only learnt this when we just started doing these podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what other film had a MacGuffin in.
Pulp Fiction, with the briefcase, and it was like glowing gold, and that's where is that what I think it is? And you don't actually know what it is exactly. So
Yeah. I think that's when I learnt it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is this word?
Mm-hmm.
I also had to say to you after we'd watched this film, what is the lady's name? It seemed to be that all these names were flying around. You've got Thursby.
We don't actually see him.
No, but he's like names like thrown around.
He's kind of a MacGuffin in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, this elusive man. You hear the name, but you never see the actual person. Yeah.
And then you've got Joel. Is it Joel?
Joel. Mr. Cairo, the one who's like the very peculiar in his mannerisms.
Yeah.
Kind of like almost like skittish, kind of like the way he
always
he
done
speaks.
something wrong.
Yeah, he has that look about him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't really know who was in the right or wrong there either, to be fair. And I think this is where I was like, I've watched this film and I definitely need to watch it again.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, this the score we're going to give isn't like I would say now that it's not going to be like it's this score or what the points we're making is because we didn't understand it as such. It's kind of like it was kind of a lot more difficult to get to grips with on the first watch, and is something I think we would definitely benefit on a repeat viewing in this one. Even I'm saying that as well. So
which makes me feel so much better because I was kind of at the end of it.
Is there something missing or we're not getting here, kind of thing? But I think what the consensus really is that it kind of works pretty much like a radio play in that there's not much in the mise en scène of like what works as like the noir aesthetic type of thing. There's like a shot where when he answers the telephone on the side, and it's like in a dark room and the curtains are blowing and everything. There's that kind of element, or like standing in the street in the shadows kind of thing. But when it's obviously just them talking in a room, that could be just you could just be have in your ears podcast like type of thing, radio play. And I did learn that actually they did make this into a radio play, so it was just would have been played on the wireless or whatever back in the day.
It's quite interesting to think of it that way. And I think you're right, but then I think most of the films back then could have been done that way. Obviously, there was certain films where the shots and, like, It's a Wonderful Life, you've got those signs where it's leading you and everything that is cleverly shot, but also just the dialogue, it has to be a strong point. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying the acting in this isn't strong. It's not saying it's like you've got some rubbish actors and actresses.
No, absolutely not.
It's not. It's just, it is kind of just there in the background, and the actual camera trickery obviously back then wouldn't have been as much thought of as it is today, because obviously the equipment wouldn't allow what we can do nowadays.
Whereas in this it's kind of more relying on the dialogue to be like the double crossing aspect of it, and with the lies and deceit that's going on throughout. Sorry, to answer your question before, like what the name of the lady was.
Oh yes.
Who in herself seems to be like a compulsive liar, I'd say. Bridget is the first name, and then it was Miss O'Shaughnessy or something. It was a very long name when it kept coming up on the subtitles. Like, I don't even know.
I didn't hear it say Bridget.
That was at the end credits. It was like, what is her name? It was like O'Shaughnessy, but what is her actual first name? But yeah, I don't remember it being brought up. So
no.
It's kind of weird.
I think she also reminded me a little bit of the Breakfast at Tiffany's character, as in trying to be something she's not. If that makes sense, like Sam does actually say, "Oh, this act of being innocent and sweet, and kind of a schoolgirl kind of thing, like, but wouldn't melt."
Crocodile tears type of thing.
Yeah, he kind of clocked it quite soon, but I didn't. Like, for me, I thought she was actually.
It's like, oh, woe is me type of.
A typical damsel in distress. Yeah.
No, she had some wits about her, I think, really. And that's what kind of kept it kind of interesting. because you never knew where you stood with people a lot of the time. This is what kind of draws your interest in the film, I think, and that's why I think it became such a popular subgenre of film.
Also, the fact that, obviously, spoilers to whoever hasn't seen it, because obviously we haven't.
Yeah.
So, in the end, we find out that it is this lady, Bridget, who is causing all this havoc and chaos, basically.
Yeah.
And she's the one who actually goes to the detectives for help.
Yeah.
And I don't think you really get a character normally back then of a woman being a villain.
I don't think it was very common.
No.
No.
And I kind of like that. I know it sounds daft, like...
I mean, she wasn't a typical, like, I fooled you all type of way, but
No.
just deceitful.
Yeah.
But
normally it's a man. It's normally kind of... I really thought it was...
Mr. Cairo?
Yeah.
Or the other guy, which Mr... I think he was called Gutman. Which
No.
I
think he looked
man.
too...
I think he's... He was...
too rugged and too obvious as an option. You know,
Yeah.
like when you're doing a murder mystery and you think he looks like the cliche person
Yeah.
that you would go for, and probably it isn't them.
No, yeah.
But I've never been good at murder mysteries, and it annoys me because I'm so good at predicting people normally. But within these scenarios, not so much. And I didn't expect her in the end. I thought Sam was it in as well, but the further along we went, he was playing everybody, and I thought he wanted it for himself.
The Falcon.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but he turns out he's the one who was the least interested in it, really. Just wanted the actual money, I think, really, just for doing the finding it, really, and just not having anything to do with it. So he maybe not so much saw the greed in that. He was a different type of greed, just give me hard cash and that.
Well, pay me for what I've done.
Yeah, services stuff.
Yeah.
But I obviously like the fact when Mr. Cairo's like in the office and he's like threatens him with the gun and everything. Initially, when I think the first meeting with him, and he's like, "Put your hands up and want to search the office," and then he like, takes him out pretty easily and everything, and there's no trouble about it. And then, but he's like, "I don't care if you search my office anyway. Just you have nothing to lose." So like, why did you do it? Just like, it's just because it shows him like as a cool, hard character, kind of.
Yeah, and it's as well. It's like, don't mess with me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not having you just walk in and take me for a mug.
Yeah, it does it again, and shortly after that, anyway, the same thing happens. He's like, "Oh, go ahead, I won't stop you."
Yeah,
type of thing, and then cuts to the next scene. So it's good.
It does have a good humour value to it. There is some kind of comical ones
Yeah,
as well.
I think it's the one-liner type of things, which is kind of what you want from a character like this. And again, I think there's a lot of inspiration for like maybe Indiana Jones, Han Solo type of characters from Harrison Ford's done. That's the wit and the just the strong demeanour.
Now I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, I can see that. Now you said it. I would have never thought it if you hadn't said it.
Now, obviously, it's a different time, but I think again, this film has had quite an influence on how things have gone from that point, from the early 40s onwards.
So, did Bridget, or whatever her long name is, did she kill everyone then? Did she kill his partner?
Bridget killed Miles. I've got written down here,
so
I must have. Yeah. She admitted that, so I don't think I've written down that with just on the whim. So
she was the bad one, but she said she loves Sam as well. Like,
again, you could say that, couldn't you? Just to, because there was a point when she said, "Oh, like what can I buy for your love or something?" And it's kind of implying that he doesn't want the money. He would rather just have his way with her type of thing.
I'd rather have the money.
Smooch.
But then the thing is that upsets me with this part of it is his receptionist.
Effie, yeah.
Like, the amount of crap she does for him, and clearly there's a relationship there.
I think, didn't you say that? Oh, is she in the cahoots or
part
of the?
Like, what is
she
twist? Getting out of it? Like,
nothing. She's just there to be helpful.
But like, he calls her darling, angel.
Yeah.
And she clearly would do anything for him.
Yeah.
like working outside business hours here. It's not like she's getting paid for it.
Not to our knowledge, no.
And I think she seems quite smitten with him, and he's just fooling around with.
But that's always the way, isn't it, with these?
No, it's not. Oh, it shouldn't be.
What? What do you mean?
Men can just fool around.
No, I'm talking about the woman being smitten, pining after the male who's clearly interested in other women. But then it's normally it might be he sees, she was there all along or something like that. But this isn't the case with this.
No, and he should do, because...
That was what I'm meaning, not
that
the men can do what
right.
they want.
I just thought you were linking swiftly into Black Dynamite there. Like...
Do you want to get onto that now?
Yeah, we can do.
Yeah. Have you got any other points at this point for this?
Just wish I loved it a little bit more, but I think...
On first watch,
yeah. I think so.
Yeah. I don't know, it's maybe my fault, I don't know, but it was just something...
Why is it your fault?
Because I don't know, I just assumed that from... I mean, you're not going to say it's, like, rubbish because it was too fast-paced talking, there was a lot going on, I presume. It's not like, it's really bad.
No, I'm not marking it down, no.
Yeah.
I'm still enjoyed what it was, it's just I wish I could have got more out of it, really, because there was more in there for me to get out of.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think it's definitely something that benefits repeat viewings to get to, so to get to grips with. So I guess I will go firstly. So for this, I think it'll be 8.5. I think that might bump up with another viewing or two, perhaps. I think I'm pretty solid. I can see, despite what the initial difficulty of getting to understand everything that was going on, the multiple plot lines going on, I can still see the benefit of what it's done for the genre and cinema itself, and it was still a good experience for a first watch as well, even though when we watched it was so hot and well trained.
Yeah, so. And I think concentrations were not fully there. It was like the hottest day of the entire century, and never mind year. So mine's a little bit lower than your score.
Okay,
but I'm also being tactical because I don't want to kind of be giving the same scores throughout this kind of talk, and I know to be fair, I need to be fair to the other films as well.
Yeah, of course.
So this one was probably out of all of them the least for me of enjoyment. Okay,
I can understand.
Just from like a watching purpose of, because it wasn't as easy as like sometimes older films for me are, like Singing in the Rain, It's a Wonderful Life, Shop Around the Corner. Yeah. All of those kind of lovely old
ones,
even Breakfast at Tiffany's,
like
and
The Apartment.
Yeah, all of those, and I think that's what I was going into a little bit, and I think I didn't get that, and I think it is more like you're saying, like a Casablanca kind of thing, and I think I need to rewatch that because I cannot remember it for the life of me. But I know I was at a different journey at that point.
Yeah.
When we watched it.
Yeah, that's right.
So for me, I would say.
But you might have more appreciation for that now.
100%. It might have to be a birthday one where we can, even though we've already reviewed it.
We can just watch it again. No problem. So, sorry, go with your score then.
So, I think for me it'd be a 7.5. It's not a low score. It's higher than like halfway.
Okay. What do you think? Estimation? What would you think it will be bumped up to? Probably like an 8 then.
Yeah, it could even be an 8.5, possibly from where you get to one side could get the true core purpose of the film.
Yes.
I did enjoy it though.
Mm-hmm.
I really did, and I think it would be something that I would come back to, just like the Casablanca, and get more value add from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So now we move on to what you haven't seen before, and that is Dynamite.
Oh, this film. It's just...
Can you dig it?
And there were so many sayings that you kept on saying, "Can you dig it?" And I kept on going and to go, "Yes, you can," because it's the Robbie Williams song. I've got you've got.
I thought you were going to say, thinking of the "Can I Kick It?"
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it! And then there was, where is it? I'm going to split, and it's like a banana, but I'm gonna walk out basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what are these sayings? And did people say that when they were in the 70s? Obviously,
Yes.
I wasn't around, so I wouldn't know.
It's definitely what it was. This film is going for is pretty spot on with the whole parodying, being satirical on the 70s blaxploitation film movement of that period.
It is very comical. It is, and
which is good coming from you, someone who's not very much.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. It is, but it was cleverly done. It wasn't like stupidly done. The humour was thought about. It wasn't.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It wasn't just like a
pop culture reference here type of thing, like in like the scary movie films, or
or that person's injured themselves ridiculously, and like an Adam Sandler film.
Okay, yeah.
That kind of no human would do that ridiculous. This was kind of.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Certain things were done in such a clever way that made you realise the person that had written the film,
screenplay and,
had really thought about it. Like, so for one example, you pointed out the boom.
Mike was leaning in the shot, and character Black Dynamite was kept looking into the corner because he was obviously distracting to him and everything.
But he was putting it on, and it was like, I even said, "Is that real?" And they've just thought, "Oh, I'll keep it in," or did they not tell him? And
maybe it was
he's kind of looking at it, kind of thing. Like, he's just a really good actor. But him as a character as a whole, it's like you kind of love him but hate him. It's a bit like Marmite.
It's an interesting way of putting it, isn't it?
Why?
Just because of. Never mind.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I just meant because it's like you either really every woman seemed to be in awe of him and want to get into bed.
Smooth player, yeah.
But then every man kind of despised him.
Yeah, but I think that's what it's the name of the game with the character, really, is being that super cool, slick, sharp kind of persona.
Everything Paul Snow. I forgot it's a birthday special. I shouldn't be so harsh.
Don't remind me.
Oh, darling. I'm glad you're not like that. Otherwise, I'd be very insecure.
Yeah. But I'm not a jive turkey, am I? It basically means being a bit like a deadbeat loser type of thing. Just
you're not a loser. You might have been in school, but you're not now. I didn't know that it was a thing to call white people, turkeys.
No, I don't think that's. And it's the honky. Calling somebody a honky is the derogatory term for white.
What's a honky?
Just a slang for white person.
I've never heard that.
It's the thing.
Huh, cool.
Just if the N word is.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know what a honky. Where did that
come from? I don't know the cultural.
I get turkey. I understand turkey more because at least turkey's white. I don't even know what a honky is. Like if somebody shouted that to me, I wouldn't.
It's not a very common thing to.
Well, I've just learnt it today. But I think Black Dynamite. Well, don't get me wrong. He's got abs of steel, and he's very.
He knows kung fu. Yeah.
Well chiseled, but does he? That were another thing when I watched him. Thinking back in the 70s, would that have been really something that people would have learned?
Well, there's some martial arts going on, but it clearly was a thing enough to be merited in this, given credit to in this film to showcase that, because it obviously was a thing that happened in the films is parodying. So
true.
Yeah, and for somebody maybe watching it on first glance, you might even think, "Oh, is this actually something that was filmed in the 70s, not something that was made in the early 2000s?" It does.
They do depict the 70s really well
with the furniture, the clothes, the kind of I wouldn't say sepia tone, would you? that yellow filter to it. Yeah. Sorry.
Also, the even to the small details of wallpaper. I know it sounds stupid.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
It's like the houses, like even the doors, the way that the colour they were painted, like that horrible yellowy gloss colour.
Yeah.
And the telephones and
just everything, yeah.
Everything that they could think of, like they really have put in a lot of effort into this. Like, not meaning this in a horrible way, the most other film that I can think of that we've seen recently, or this year, would be Licorice Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of giving you that, is it 70s?
Yeah, 70s, yeah.
Now, I still felt like that, I knew that was modern. I don't know if it's because I was watching it and I knew, but just the characters, the way that we were dressed, it wasn't
shot in. This was purposely shot in the way it was to mimic what those television shows or movies would have been like when they were not like super grainy, but it had that just the way it looked in terms of like, especially in like the editing as well. Those are like quick shots, even for like unnecessarily kind of way, but in a comical sense. I think just running away and like cut, and all that kind of stuff, or having that split screen thing going on. That's again, to be honest, I haven't seen many of what it's taken the mickey out of, but I can definitely again sort of see like this. They know what they're doing with the inspiration behind it. This. Yeah, so I appreciate that as well. More so on this watch. This one did take a while to grow on me. Actually, first time I didn't maybe quite. I was a lot younger though.
All right, I was going to say I'm surprised because I think it's your kind of humour. This is,
but it still made me laugh multiple times in this. More so, obviously, I'm more noticing like the what the editing mistakes sort of thing or things like that. Just like these little things I didn't notice since last time I saw it or whatever. But the bit that makes me laugh is when Black Janet's chasing this guy called Cream Corn down the alleyway or whatever, and there's all these people are just like in the way, almost like like typical like obstacles, like or throw a bin down or whatever, get out of the way. But some people are carrying, I think it's like a tray of eggs or something.
Yeah, it was.
Black Dynamite runs past them, avoids them, but then he purposely runs back round to get in their way and knock it over. It's like,
I looked at you and you were proper in hysterics, and I was like actually chuckling myself, and that was nice for me to actually laugh, because sometimes you look at me and you're like proper like in fits, and then you look and think, oh, she's not laughing, and then you kind of stop laughing then, and then I feel like I've killjoyed your moment, because I'm like face panned, but it was funny, and I think it had a lot of that humour within it, but it also brought the struggles of black people around that time, and now probably that they still have. So the pressure that I think people have within that kind of growing up is always having to look after like a sibling or look out for a brother or anything like that, or family. And that's a really good value to have. But the amount of pressure that's put on, so like for example with Black Dynamite, it's like his aunt blames him for the fact that he didn't look after his brother well enough, and it's his fault, and like, oh, your mother would be turning in your grave, and it's like the amount of guilt somebody's putting on someone at a funeral, it's like, that's just awful. But I know obviously with kind of everything that's going on, it's understandable why they kind of do that, but it's still the emotional blackmail and guilt in somebody that I just think, wow, like, how could somebody even verbalise that? Yeah,
but it was, again, it's more as a comedic tone anyway.
It did, but it does make you realise the issues that are there though as well.
Yeah, there's still that. Obviously, still a lot of people die from drugs and stuff, or gang wars and stuff.
Like the school orphan thing.
Yeah, not the orphans.
Yeah,
There was another bit that was so hilarious. It was like, I was an orphan once, and he like looking off into the distance, and then the ladies were kind of like looking like, where are you looking to? And then it cuts to this flashback when he's young, and he's throwing these kids through the window. I think I'm right in thinking that it's the same, like they replaced the glass so they can be throwing them back through, and then he goes, not the orphans. When he comes out, snaps out of his thing. And then
I was like, is he actually an orphan? Like, I know that sounded awful, but everything he would say, it was like to sound good or to...
No, but it was because when in the flashback, his mother saying, "Black Dynamite, don't let anything happen to your brother."
Yeah.
So everything. So that did, obviously, that was on her deathbed. So then after that, he would have been an orphan with his brother.
But he had an auntie. Like, couldn't he have stayed with them instead of going into an orphanage, you know? But then she's slagging him off for not looking after his brother, but she couldn't take 2 children in. So I was like, I'm not sure. But the little kids tapping themselves, like, wanting the drugs and stuff, and I it's kind of comical, but it also...
There's probably a bit of truth in that, yeah.
Yeah, and especially around the 70s, because, you know, literally everyone was high as a kite in the 70s as well.
And again, I'm sure it probably does occur today as well, today's culture. Sure.
Scary to even think about, probably.
Yeah. Although the plot does move on to say, like, he cleans the streets up, you know, there's a war on. Or whoever sells drugs to the community. But Black Dynamite, I sell drugs to the community.
And he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's also on a mission to kind of get revenge and see who killed his brother. And obviously initially he thinks his brother's died of selling drugs. Yeah,
but it's the man putting him down. That's what the theme is, really. You know, again, it's the black oppression.
Yeah.
Everything.
But he was in the CIA, was Black Dynamite.
Yeah.
That's quite a high job.
Mm-hmm.
And his brother just wanted to be in the same...
looked up to him.
Yeah. So he was actually trying to do good for himself. There is another scene that makes me chuckle, which is when he's kind of met this woman about the orphanage, and then he brings her back, and they kind of get into a point of where she's under threat or whatever. And Black Dynamite takes her to, like, I think it's a brothel, basically where these women are.
Yeah.
And there's another, I've just thought of another thing as well. So, the first one with, I'm sorry, I'm not going in order.
That's fine.
So the one that first came to mind was obviously taking her to this brothel, and he's kind of being the typical man, giving her all, like, this smooth and talking her up and everything, and then this one woman finishes his line, and he kind of, like, snaps and kind of goes off on one. He's like, no one wants to know about what you're saying. And it shows his true colours.
Yeah.
But the lady from the orphanage is still swooning over him. Yeah. But he kind of looks and waits for, like, this quiet moment of, like...
to continue.
Yeah. And I just think it works really well. Yeah. The other one is when he's talking to the lady that's saying, "Oh, Black Dynamite, you looking after us while we don't have a pimp," and... all of that, and then she tries to smoke a cigarette that's not even lit, and then she's pretending to blow out smoke, and there is no smoke. It's just these simple things that is like...
Yeah, subtle humour.
Yeah.
Makes
Makes it funny.
Yeah, it's like when there's a shootout with, I think it's police or something, in an alleyway, and it's like, you know, they're jumping out the car, but they forgot to leave the handbrake on, and it's kind of just rolling back, so they're kind of like shooting while holding the car in place to cover themselves, and just things like that.
You probably thought that were funny.
Yeah, things. It's really great. It's how it's done, and there's like what seems like overanalyzing, like when they obviously can't figure out where the drugs are in the crates, and so
I got it straight away.
This malt liquor that this anaconda.
I think this is quite funny actually, because black men are meant to be known for...
Oh, yeah, that's the joke.
You know, the package downstairs being bigger than normal.
Than the average man.
And then the man is selling these drinks. Obviously, clearly, the white men are inferior of what the black man can provide.
Yeah.
For a woman.
Yeah. So it turns out the man is shipping out this, or advertising this malt liquor that's, what's it, gives you, ooh.
Yeah.
So they go through all this, like, what does waffles what was it? It started melting in your mouth. What else melts in your mouth? M&Ms. And then what company makes M&Ms? Mars and all this kind of stuff, and gets like all this like, where's this going? Type of thing. Yeah. And it gets to the slogan of the Anaconda liquor. They give you who's known for saying, "Ooh, Little Richard." What's another name for Little Richard? Little Wing Wang.
I just have to say, everyone, just for everyone who's listening, there was an action that Paul had to do then.
Not with my finger, I promise.
But he wiggled it. He wiggled his little finger, like his pinky, and it just proper made me chuckle. He went, Wing Wang.
Yeah, so one of the fellow crew members has succumbed to this because he's been drinking it since they found it in the warehouse, and so you get a nice shot of like a reaction shot, but it's showing this, I assume, prosthetic.
I didn't appreciate that part. I'm not gonna lie. That was like the bit that I didn't
disappointed.
appreciate. Just didn't need to see it, especially when it's all wrinkly and just there. They're not the most attractive of things, are they?
No, I can't say they are, to be honest.
No, they're a bit weird, to be fair.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I feel like it should be inside your body, not just dangling.
It turns out that it's Richard Nixon who's behind all this. Tricky Dicky I think he was known as that in the 70s when he was in power. Anyway, so he's a corrupt politician type of thing. So, who he also seems to be well transversed in using nunchucks. So Dynamite, which I'm not even sure, like, when some of the shots that he was doing and stuff, he was kind of always like flinching while he was waving and stuff around, which I kind of found funny as well, because it's like, you're not really, you may be trained a little, but not completely.
Yeah.
So.
And it's just kind of comical, really, throughout. It's just...
Yeah, it's brilliant, yeah. And, like, the fact that, like, Lincoln's ghost comes and helps Dynamite at the end as well, can obviously, help free the slaves and everything, so kind of like the good power coming to assist as well. I think that's a nice touch. But it was a real blast to see this again. I'd forgotten how funny it was.
It went really quickly as well with the time. Yeah, it just flew by.
It was a short run time as well, which I think kind of works in its favour as well, not in a bad way, like, oh, thank God.
No.
But with the production value and everything they did to make it what it was, and the humour, it didn't outstay its welcome at all. Yeah.
Apart from the Little Richard bit, I think that was like the worst part.
Yeah.
I think everything else held its own.
And even the I appreciate the animation as well, like the post credits.
Oh, it made me snort.
Well, because you're thinking of the other one where there's like the sexual positions.
Yeah. Well, that's what you meant. I was like, really?
Well, I mean, it's creative.
It's nicer actually than actually seeing somebody getting it on, I guess, but it was still a bit graphic.
It's a graphic film, so yeah, with the content, so it makes sense. But the way they did the end credits as well, funnily enough, I think I haven't seen it, but they made like a spin-off animated show on Adult Swim. I think what Rick and Morty's on.
Oh, okay.
I think so, like one of the Sky channels,
right?
Cable channels. But I think we only had a short run, but would have been interesting to see how that would have looked, really. But I think just as its own thing, standalone piece, it works really well and good comedy. Yeah. A lot of what it touches upon in terms of the style is really solid.
It really is, and it's a comedy, and I'm saying it's good, so...
Yeah. So I'm interested to know what your score is for this one. You would see it again?
I'd see it again, yeah.
Okay. This isn't like a one and done.
No. I'm just trying to... We did 7.5, didn't we?
Yeah, you don't have to match it. If you genuinely enjoyed it more than...
No, I'm just trying to think in my head. I think this is one way you can just put it on and kind of enjoy it for what it is. It's not anything over the top, but it's cleverly done.
It kind of is.
No, but I mean, like, to the point of where you're like, I don't know where I'm at with it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a really, like, you could put it on the background. You could probably have a couple of drinks with it and quite enjoy.
Rip-roaring fun, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And for the comedy value of it, which is rare for me to laugh.
Yes, yes, definitely so.
And it's nice to laugh with you, because it's not like I don't want to laugh. I just want to. It needs to be funny. So I think for me, I'd say it's a solid 8.5. It would have been a 9, but the Little Richard, that is a bit creepy, and I feel like that lowered the tone just a little.
Okay, but I think it that joke worked for what it was going for, because obviously, like you
just
explained,
didn't need to see the close up of it. That was the problem. It wasn't the joke. It was the close up. Yeah. That was the issue.
Yeah. Tolerable. I mean, for what I'd say, really, for it didn't take away from me in terms of like what it's like a hot mark down because just of that one thing.
No, but it just couldn't make it a 9 because it was a bit of a cringe factor for me.
Okay.
If that makes sense. It's like, if that wasn't there, then I think it would have been a full-on 9 because of the humour value, but it did make me cringe, and I think that's why I don't like comedies sometimes.
Okay, it's too vulgar.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, okay, right. What about the other nudity?
Bother me? No.
Okay, fair enough.
Just because it was wrinkly and not nice, and like looking at an old man. You know, like Black Dynamite with his top off was no problem. Like if it was him, then it might have been all right. It might.
All right then.
Throwing you off now, aren't I?
No. I score in my head. Well, I think I was going to put it at 9.
Thought so.
Because I really had a blast this time. I'm glad you enjoyed it as well. I honestly didn't know if you were gonna get what it was going for, or just have like if there's any laughs had whatsoever. So that's helped the watch. Really, I liked it before, but there's a lot more to gain from this watch. I think in terms of like pick up more of the style, as I say.
Yeah.
And it still made me laugh, so that's always a good thing. Yeah, that's what you
made you laugh a lot.
Yeah, so I think this is now like in top 5 comedies. Somewhere sits in there.
I think it's my top 1. To be fair, I don't really know what other comedy I could say would be top number 1. And lastly, but not least,
we have a film that maybe not a lot of people have seen, but I definitely think people should maybe check out. It's kind of like it's a small indie comedy, but of like more in a dark humour type of way.
Yes.
Black comedy, drama, and it's called The Skeleton Twins.
First of all, it's around Halloween. So,
which I'd kind of forgotten actually that it was kind of.
How had you forgotten that?
Well, I picked this one out for one reason that we'll kind of get to later on, particularly. But the one I did want to check out again because we hadn't seen it in quite some time.
I think it was before we even did the podcasts.
Way before that, yeah.
And I didn't actually get, surprise, the film as much, and it was a very dark tone when I first watched it. I felt like it was very...
Not your typical, rom-com drama.
Yeah, and it was hard-hitting. It covers, obviously...
Very serious subjects, yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those where I think if you're not in a happy situation yourself...
Yeah,
it wouldn't be the best film.
No, not great. Yeah.
To watch.
What it tackles is kind of... It doesn't linger on them too much, but there's kind of humour behind it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it kind of shows, I think, that everyone struggles in life. Like, I think people post on Instagram and on Twitter or wherever, social media, like, oh, look how amazing my life is, or I'm doing this and that and having a brilliant time. And anyone is lying if they can say that they're having a happy life all the time, because that's just not true.
It's not, no.
It's not. Like, everyone has a bad day, and I think this is why this film is quite cleverly done, where it shows people struggling with life.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be to do with a breakup. It can be to do with cheating on your husband. It could be
Feeling depressed.
Yeah, or something in
suicidal.
your childhood. Like, so we've got as 2 siblings.
Yeah.
And both their dad commits suicide. Obviously, having that as a child, knowing that your father ended his life, that's quite a big impact on how they're going to grow up. Also, Miles kind of has a relationship with his teacher.
Yeah, that comes to light more as the film goes on. So
And
Miles is the brother, played by Bill Hader.
what have I seen him in?
You will have seen him in It, Chapter 2. Okay.
I'm like, which one was that? I know it's the clown, but
he was the one who.
Oh no, was she in it too?
Kristen Wiig, no, she's in Bridesmaids.
What was the other blonde woman in it?
In what? Sorry.
In It.
There was no blonde woman. There was a ginger.
Oh well, I don't know if she was meant to be actually ginger though in real life.
Who?
The actress.
In It.
Yes.
Yeah, she is ginger.
Oh, she.
In real life.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know Emma Stone, she's not, but clearly she's known for being red-headed.
Well, Superbad you haven't seen, have you? I'm just looking.
I don't think
I'm just
so.
looking now at other things. He voiced, was it Fear or wherever it is in Inside Out?
That's never going to help me. I've watched
The
Inside
voice.
Out and I thought it was really good, but the voice would not.
Yeah. Night at the Museum.
Maybe. I think It probably is the one, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think he plays a similar kind of role
Yeah.
as to what he is in Skeleton Twins.
Yeah, that's right.
I do think Maggie in this, though, as a sister,
Yep.
she is definitely more of a tolerable character compared to Bridesmaids.
Is that more because she seems a bit down in the dumps? And not over the top?
Yeah, because they're both down in the dumps, aren't they? Let's be honest. They
in
are.
different ways, yeah.
But Maggie does in this to kind of, she gets frustrated with herself and she doesn't impact others too much. And you can see that she's really frustrated. Whereas I think in The Bridesmaid, it's like, oh, woe is me, life's just giving me a bad deal.
That's true, yeah.
And throwing her own pity party.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this one, I think, is a lot of a darker...
More realistic.
turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's opens with basically them dressing up, so you can kind of see it's Halloween. The dad's going trick or treat.
Yeah.
And you've got 2 skeletons that come out, and that's kind of where you get your title from, because obviously they're meant to be
twins.
twins.
Yeah, there's that connection there. Because I think it's kind of interesting that you don't see his face. He's wearing a mask, which is, I think, allegory for, obviously, like hiding yourself behind one and putting a facade on, like, oh, the world's trying to look happy for the world, but you might actually be really, like, dead inside type of thing, or just...
It does make me worried and a bit sad that the fact that he had a family, and obviously they clearly loved him, but for someone to be that down...
Well, they certainly did. I don't know about the mother, but she seemed, when you sort of introduced her, she kind of seems a bit hippy-dippy, doesn't she?
She seems like a right bitch, to be fair. It's normally the dads that are, to be fair, not there, but she seems to be like kind of putting herself first, being really selfish.
Yeah.
And she didn't even go to her own daughter's wedding because she was too busy. Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, with the sort of like meditation and having these retreats or something that Woodstock, I believe she said. But I thought it was just a festival thing, not a thing that was, not a place, or I don't know. But
I don't know. Maybe they do stuff there.
But I mean, she wasn't really visiting when she came to see him. It wasn't for their benefit. It was over just to
I'm passing by.
Just happened to be in the area type of thing, and just not stopping long.
Yeah, it was convenient for her.
Yeah.
Basically, she hadn't gone out of her way to just see her children.
Yeah, so not much respect on Maggie's part for her.
No.
Calling her by her first name and everything,
And slagging her off, basically, and not really enjoying her company.
Mm-hmm.
we do have, obviously, Miles trying to commit suicide at the beginning.
Yeah.
And the siblings haven't spoken to each other for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, the thought of that, not speaking to, like, Sarah, my sister, for 10 years, and you not speaking to Joe, your brother, for 10 years, just seems absurd to me. But it does happen. You kind of do drift.
Yeah, it can happen. Depends
Apart.
on scenarios,
But what is lovely is she kind of is there for him and takes him in, and
stick together no matter what type of.
And I think she is the better character out of the two. Even though she's got her own stuff going on, she seems to try and put others before herself.
Yeah, he does come across a bit more of a, not meaning this a bad way, because of his character being gay and everything, but a bit of a drama queen in some aspects.
Yeah,
he's the one who's maybe doing a bit more of the pity pie.
He's a bit more melodramatic, isn't he, with everything that's going on, and he seems to need to get basically shit in order.
Yeah.
So they take him in.
Oh yeah, we hadn't mentioned the husband of Maggie's, who's what's it called, Lance?
Lance, yeah.
Played by Luke Wilson, who is Owen Wilson's brother.
I didn't know it until you said it.
I had to actually confirm that as well. I think I'm pretty sure it is about, obviously just because his last name. I was thinking, is that relation? But it's actually, I think his older brother.
Well, he's got the better looks, hasn't he? He's not got the nose smashed in.
But his demeanour as well is kind of like a. He's kind of nice, but it's almost like a sort of pushy attitude, if that makes sense. Like tell him what I said, Maggie, or go on.
Is that me?
No, you're not.
Ah, okay. I was gonna say I'm nice, but I always go on, Paul. You say whatever.
That's just me trying to get me to talk. It's more than anything.
At least you're honest. Yeah, it is. It's like, come on, I've done enough talking now. You do some. Yeah. But he is like the yin to her yang kind of thing. So she's quite more reserved, quite quiet, and I think he's the positivity in her life. But at the same time, he's grating on her because he's like
he's
that.
almost too positive.
Yeah.
And she's got this somewhat perversion or tendency to sleep around behind his back and kind of go for the bad guys, really, for whatever reason. And I liked how when she kind of revealed that to like a heart-to-heart moment later on, when they're obviously joking around in the dentist's office where she works.
That's a good scene.
That's a good scene, yes. Got a good bonding moment.
Yeah.
And Miles is like, Maggie, he's like mildly annoyed that she's done this, what is deemed like a really bad thing to have been doing like multiple times, and she's like, he's kind of like, I can't believe you type of thing. Not like, oh my god, why did you do that type of thing?
Yeah.
Dramatise the thing. It's kind of like just a mild
and I think
shock to it.
It reminds me of like a relationship you do. They captured the sibling relationship really well.
I mean, because they're like kind of on and off with each other.
It's on and off with each other, but the way that you still open up to one another and confide, like it's like like you've got this like sibling oath that what you should say doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And if it does, they're only doing it because they care.
Yeah.
Or they're in a heat of a moment and they're being an arsehole and then they'll apologise later for it.
That's it.
And it reminds me of mine and my sister's relationships because we're a lot closer in age.
Yes.
That we do have them.
It's more common, maybe like a 2-year difference between siblings, isn't it?
Spats,
usually, yeah.
Whereas you and Joe are
7 years difference, so it's quite. There was never really
argued.
Not really, no. Maybe him being more annoyed at me about something.
Why? What would you have done wrong? You're lovely.
I don't know. Just couldn't. I can't really give an example.
Because you won't play with him.
Maybe, I don't know.
Like me and my sister have had. You've stolen my clothes. We've had get out of my room. We've had
typical stuff.
Chucked deodorant at each other, sprayed glass cleaner in each other's faces. We were cleaning, and then I was like mimicking it. I used to always mimic her. I would pop her.
The annoying sister.
I was the annoying little sister, like Sarah, and she hates it. Like literally, like in the morning, I used to get out of the shower, and I would go, Sarah, shower every morning, and she just like, I could see her face like cringe with absolute like mortifiedness because of the voice I would put on. And I think this is why it works so well as a film, because if you have a sibling,
you understand that,
you relate.
Yeah, and you can totally believe that they would be like brother and sister. They capture that so well, and the sort of the chemistry they have with one another really works. This is what kind of really sells the film, really, and kind of made me want to go back and revisit it because it had that impact from that.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's weird because last time I watched this, I was like, oh my God, this is so depressing and so dark. And I didn't get that vibe this time. I was more like...
Yeah, I remembered more the bad bits, all like the moments where like she was like clearly cheating on her husband and stuff of those kind of things. Not so much the joking around parts and stuff are kind of glazed over those perhaps. So obviously the bad parts are a lot more impactful. You know, the main story beats of like, oh, this is where things are starting to go wrong type of thing. But I remember more so.
Do have the music within this that works really well. It's always kind of an upbeat-ish soundtrack at the beginning as well. Like, even though Miles has self-harmed himself, it's then when she's in the hospital, there's these like classic songs, and I can't remember them, but they're really good soundtrack towards it as well.
Yeah. And we may as well get on to one of the main things I wanted to check this out again.
Yeah.
For a song sequence in particular, and if nothing else, this is, I think you can probably YouTube the clip for what occurs. Although it seems kind of, I forgot how the setup really went, like initially, but it does kind of almost seem like out of nowhere. There's no like background to it. Made more sense if he went like, oh, do you remember that time we cranked this song in our rooms or whatever? Because it's kind of, he just starts putting it on with no like, why this song? Like, why are we dancing to this song? So,
but I think as well, it's because they're in a mood. She's in a mood with him, and he's wanting to kind of snap her out of it and kind of say we're going to be here like together. Yeah. And I know obviously they are siblings, so it's not like it's a marriage kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you can take it whichever way you want, can't you?
Yeah. So if you want to see what we're on about in terms of this moment, which is really, really good, if you YouTube Skeleton Twins Starship or Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now, then you can see what we mean by that. I think I'm pretty sure it's on like a movie clip of that on YouTube somewhere floating around, some description. So
it's amazing.
It's really good. It's one of the things that really stuck with me from way back whenever we saw it. So
yeah. And I think that's why we've picked it for our wedding, really, haven't we?
Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to bring that up. Yeah. I left it like a little pause there.
Yeah, no, you might as well.
But, so all the more reason to seek out on YouTube to know like what kind of like what's a tease of what is in store for what we kind of intend, perhaps, to do.
Not gonna act grumpy with you.
Oh no, not that element. I'm just meaning more the lip syncy type movements with it and stuff. One of the things I noticed this time was 2 times when there was a fish tank that got destroyed involved. First was when, I think this is probably, again, it's like a thing whenever there seemed to be like a bad moment occurring in Maggie's life. Like, a mum showing up, she walked in with a fish tank and she dropped it. She was shocked by that. And then there was another moment when, I think it was when a marriage is falling apart, basically. Yeah,
well, it's Miles' fault because he mentions about the fact that Maggie is still on contraceptive pills.
Yeah, when they're trying for a baby,
Yeah.
So that, and then that leads to her being honest about the sleeping around thing, which kind of understandably destroys him a little bit, really, kind of like really down and dumps himself now. So when that's kind of like she breaks the fish tank there, and then the dead fish on the floor, and he's trying to revive him back. Like,
I did feel for her, I really did, because it's like she was trying to turn everything back around again.
Yeah.
And she'd also said to the scuba diver, like, no, enough. I don't want to do this anymore. And she was trying to be on the mend with it. And then Miles was being a dick again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It wasn't his place to say it. And to be fair, all that Lance had tried to do was kind of take him in anyways into his home and be a brother to him.
Yeah.
And there's some funny scene when Miles is trying to do some hard work.
Yeah, manual labour, yeah.
Where he's like, typical kind of, like you would say, drama queen, where he's like, oh, can possibly pick up a twig, like, and get me dirty.
Wearing this scarf and, like, not really suited for the...
No.
You know, the outside gardening type of attire. But I found it interesting as well. I don't know if it's a theme with the fish again. Maybe there's something there, but certainly with the fact that Moby Dick keeps getting brought up, was more with Miles's teacher.
Phil.
Yeah. Phil from Modern Family, yeah.
Yeah. It's weird seeing Phil in a different role.
Yeah. He wasn't going back to Claire and the kids.
No,
Yeah.
and to be fair, I prefer him as Phil, to be honest. Him in this character, he was a bit of an asshole, very selfish.
Yeah,
no wonder Miles was the way he was, because this person's just used him in his entire life.
Yeah, that's right. But it was like a very, young age when he'd been this paedophilia type of thing going on there, so it's a bit...
Yeah, and then they're still going back to him is a bit cringy.
Yeah, but it's... With the Moby Dick thing, there's like a little wooden figurine of a whale that he has.
Yeah.
And the Moby Dick is, the white whale, and then it comes to a point, obviously again, like a low point of his, with Miles as well, like kind of like, he kind of loses his white whale, really, and he signifies that by like chucking it off the thing before he's going to attempt to jump off the roof before like a security guard comes and takes him away. So I think certain categories like that with that, but I don't really know, like, I seem to remember, like, or think I'm remembering that with the whole skeleton twins thing, I thought there'd be more to do with that, the little...
Skeletons.
They had at the beginning, like, I think that there was a thing with rummaging around, is like, he finds the purple one, she has the orange one, I think. But other than that, there's no... other like mention of that kind of...
No, but I think it's around Halloween. They used to really like Halloween.
Yeah.
And I think
they do go and dress up, don't they, as well? So,
yeah.
So
and it gives you the Halloween vibe. Like, oh, I was so excited already when I was watching it. It's like pumpkins and blankets and jumpers and
banners and everything.
Yeah, and just the autumn leaves and twigs, everything. It was just like, so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell I love autumn? Mm-hmm. I am an autumn baby as well, so I don't do this summer larky. It's too warm.
That's true. Okay, well, is there anything else you want to bring up about this? Or
I think the connection between them two is fantastic. Like, even when they kind of both have the moments where they don't want to no longer be here, they're still there for one another. Mm-hmm. And they're able to kind of like Miles knowing that Maggie has gone to the swimming pool as a child and knows exactly where she is to be there for her. Yeah.
There's the only thing I also got to say is in terms of how that's a good example, really, like the story pacing. Really, it was quite a film, like hour and a half.
Yeah.
Which I thought it was longer for some reason.
I did. I remember struggling with it last time, thinking, God, when's this going to end? Which was like, I don't know why.
Yeah, but some of the scenarios or like the bits kind of like do kind of jump around quite quickly, and it's like, okay, that could have gone a little bit longer to explain that. Like I say with the song, or the how did he know
Maggie.
where to go exactly? You just saw like a flashback of her under the pool, like trying
but she
to breathe,
collects his skeleton. Actually, he's lost his skeleton in the pool, and she goes. So obviously, she's an avid swimmer compared to him. Yeah,
to go and get it. But so there was maybe some issues I noticed from that, really, but it didn't take me away too much because I like spending time with these two, really. So it's what here for. That's what sells the film, really.
Acting's pretty much on point. The
Mhm.
story it's a hard-hitting story, but also there's comedy within the music, within the
How the banter they have, yeah.
it's portrayed, and they capture a sibling. It doesn't matter if it's male or female.
Yeah.
Kind of relationship when you've got such a close gap. Obviously, they're twins, so it's even worse. Like, you know, have to share everything.
Yeah.
And kind of that always a friend for life, but always kind of despising them at the same time. And even at the end, you kind of, even though they're touching on this horrible subject of taking your own life, basically, you don't feel upset.
For them.
No, because they've got each other.
Yeah. Which, again, sort of signified with the... Now they have the fish tank, and they've got the fish, and everything's all fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it could, to be fair to Maggie, like, I don't know why she doesn't go to his apartment and get his fish, because, like she said, there's fish in New York, and I'm like, but he has fish.
Yeah.
What's happening to the fish that he's got? Are they just going to be left and not fed and died? The amount of fish that have died in this movie is untrue.
I know. Yeah. So no, it was good to rewatch this one.
Mhm.
I don't really have a score in my head yet, so I will let you go first.
As you're the birthday boy, I will allow it.
Uh-huh.
But I do think it's a cop-out, just so you're aware. You're gauging on what I'm scoring it, and then you're going to be like, oh, okay, I'll score.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
I know you are.
6 and 2 3 is about how to weigh it up as such.
Okay, so this has kind of done a whole 360 for me.
Right.
And I think I have definitely grown in my movie
Watching experience.
Thank you. That sounded very good. Yes, that's it. And I think I'm a completely different person to when we watched this film.
Yeah, it will have been, what, maybe 5 so years ago now, maybe?
Yeah. I didn't like it. It didn't give me a happy feel after the end of watching a film.
But yet you still remember it being about set in Halloween, which I don't remember.
I always remember that. Because I was thinking I don't really watch horror films, so it's the only one that I really think is, apart from Hocus Pocus and Halloween Town and Casper.
Sure.
This is the only other film I could just said, oh yes, this is classed as a Halloween film. So I'd probably scored this a lot lower back then.
10. Yep.
And this is why you always have to go back to things and rewatch them.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes you should just leave them well alone, but yeah.
Yeah. But majority of things, give them another chance if, you know. And I really, really enjoyed it this time. Really enjoyed it.
Good.
It made me laugh, which is always good. So I've had quite a few laughs this time watching things.
2 out of 3. Yeah.
2 out of 3 ain't bad. I love the clip of we can build this thing together. I absolutely adore that scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I adore the whole film, really, and what it has to offer. And it has a good moral behind it. Even though it's...
What's that moral?
I think it's one of those... You can be down in the dumps, but you can still get through anything. As long as you've got people...
in your life that care about you.
Yeah. And you have to open up to those people as well.
Yes.
And you can't just take it all on your own. So I think it is a good kind of growth story as well for relationships. So, all that said, I am going to score it. Are you ready?
Yep.
A 10.
Now you have shocked me there. Yeah, you really have shocked. More so than Grand Budapest Hotel. Well, that is quite surprising. For what a tiny little indie film. Not like like the big blockbusters or anything like that. So no, I've got to say I'm proud of you for for seeking out something that maybe not a lot of people would take on board as like being a good film in overlook it kind of thing, and sort of give it a chance, and you've clearly taken something away from it end of the day. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, good.
But
Oh no.
but-
You're proud of me, but you
Yeah.
don't agree with me.
yeah, I don't think I can give it that quite a higher score. But I think it sits in the camp of 8.5.
Not too much of a low score. It's still a good score.
No.
And I definitely would recommend, out of all of them, this one. Clearly, I enjoyed
Yeah,
this
clearly,
one
yeah,
the
clearly
most.
You enjoy, yeah.
It's kind of gone in. I knew
The
the first one that we'd seen, the
Maltese Falcon.
I knew it kind of went in order
Okay.
of level of enjoyment
Right.
for me
Okay.
personally.
Sure. Obviously, Sophie recommends this one highly. Obviously, might be. I don't know how the thing is how easy it is to get hold of. We've got this on a DVD disc. I don't even think the Blu-ray is available over here. It's one of those annoying situations where they don't, especially like indie comedies where it's kind of like not everything comes over to our side of the pond. But I'm sure you can probably find it somewhere. But we do. Well, Sophie endorses it to go and seek it out, even if it's for that one bit. Yeah.
And just in all, it's a bit of a dark film, but it's light at the same time.
Not too dark.
No, but the subject it's covering is dark.
Yeah, as we've kind of reiterated, and it's a short one, so don't take up too much of your time.
Like Pompo, Popo,
and Dynamite even.
So I'm guessing for you, out of all of them, for your birthday special, Black Dynamite.
Yeah, but I'm happy with everything we've covered, even if the first one was kind of the heaviest, but there's definitely something to go back to with that.
Yeah.
At a later date.
100%.
Yeah.
I would just like to, first of all, wish Paul a lovely happy birthday. And obviously this has been a long episode that we've had to do, and we're trying to do it in advance so we can enjoy his actual day.
Recorded this, yeah. So, but it's coming out of the day when you're hearing this, hopefully, if you're hearing first hand. So,
but I also want to thank all the listeners for voting, being interactive with us, helping us pick the films. We really enjoy when that kind of task's taken out of our hands a little bit, and it's a bit of a gamble kind of, or a lucky dip that you were getting. Like, obviously we select a couple of films, but it's nice to know the fate is in somebody else's hands.
Yeah, it takes some of the pressure off, because sometimes it's helpful to, it's like, what do other people want us to cover? Like, what do you want to hear us talk about, really?
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm going for, majority of the time, it's trying to pick out the ones that are like, what I think, okay, these are the classics or whatever, and some obviously are sometimes are obscure ones that maybe people might not think of. Some of them are just kind of just out of the blue. It's like, oh, this is a good time because such and such film has come out, so let's cover this film.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I'm toying with the idea of, if you've heard the Patreon.
Yes.
Doing something with that. If people are interested in sign up for that. I know it's like a popular thing. Obviously, it helps support the show in a different way, and you get the idea, obviously, being just to cover costs of our show, like my spends and stuff like that. But you'd get, there'd be like perks, like for like shout outs for people who have supported us directly on the show. Things like maybe, obviously, like more polls, like vote on the next film we cover, that kind of thing would be options. And there might be some other things obviously down the line, but this is early days, I'm just toying with the idea. But if people are interested in, or would be like, yeah, I'd pay a quid a month, just, a small pittance like that would really go a long way for us, and obviously gives you more of the content that you want to hear, hopefully.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, and you never know, further down the line, some merch,
extra stuff, like bonus episodes. That there's all those kind of things. It's thinking about it, but if
might throw some British stuff in there. So if you're from a different country, you could perk from, I don't know, some Tetley's tea bags, as Sophie would recommend.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves too much here, but yeah. But yes, thank you for listening to the end of this episode. But if you want to check out some of our other episodes, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from.
Definitely go and have a listen to other birthday specials as well. They are really, really good, and we do enjoy doing them, even though we haven't done a full movie marathon, as when lockdown was a privilege where you didn't go out and have a life.
Yeah.
That was more maintainable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, Paul's going to be doing all of his social media posts and everything like that. And if you aren't aware of where to find us, we are on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And it's under the handle SP_film viewers.
And if you would like to also leave us a nice 5-star review, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, and wherever else they do the scoring system.
So please, by all means, on Thursday, today, message Paul, give him all your love, thank him for all his hard work that he does on the podcast, and wish him a happy birthday, and make him feel loved and appreciated in the podcast community, because he deserves it.
Thank you.
In advance.
Yeah. So thank you once again for listening. Hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Take care. Bye.
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 Bye.